So, Superman Lois. Not gonna lie, it reminds me of a lot of other shows, in a sense that it got really renowned first season, that a lot of people very much like and are blown away, but you don't hear of quite as much beyond that. A lot of times, going more in depth, I end up liking the series a little more. Sometimes I'm just not tempted to see the next series, like Stranger Things. Felt nice with just one season. With Superman Lois, well, I did think of it falling into that camp. But, some of the Season 2 stuff was seeming interesting. And at the end of the day, it's Superman. And some good Superman rep, might add. I think due to the whole vacuum of who Superman is, there was always going to be some good media to counteract the bad. But let me tell you, there's some bad Superman media. Like ones where he's a tyrannical dictator, or ones where he's precogged to be a tyrannical dictator. Here feels like a deliberate counter in a sense. Not only what if Superman's good, but what if he has a family, a responsibility? I figure I must start off this series by saying Tyler is really solid as Superman. He's already played him a while within Supergirl, where he was already showing his chops. And honestly, I feel really proud for the guy to get this whole series. This might be part of the reason why we don't try to mix bigger IP characters on smaller projects, because all of a sudden we might like them on the smaller things, and we demand more, like a spin-off. But as I said, honestly, I'd much prefer Superman with this sort of long-form storytelling, exploring the characterization and such, over a movie which is very much just special effects reel. There are a lot of choices that I find interesting. I think the idea of giving Superman 2 sons is actually pretty inspired. Having the single son prodigy could be interesting, but having a pair of siblings to sort of cancel each other out is pretty interesting. A lot of people often opt to have multiple children so they could be each other's friend or something. They both work as two sides of the typical Jonathan Kent. I mean, the one with the actual name doesn't even have any powers, but it's interesting stuff. A little weird to think of them as high schoolers. I guess I kind of imagine them as just college guys, but whatever. The show in some sense is not quite my ideal Superman show. I find it a little odd to kill off Superman's Kent parents. I guess it works as establishing this is almost a darker Elseworld, but at the same time though, Lois Lane's father is still around and very active, which just feels a little weird. Almost gives a Spider-Man vibe, where he's dating someone who has secret ties to something else. But I get having a military guy who has connections with Superman. Later on, we see him literally training Jordan Kent, and there it's that's neat. But imagine this kind of story where it's that's Pa Kent himself doing this. Feels like a good way to retain the older man's innocence, yet have a little gruff. Though at the end of the day, he does a good job. I also will say, this portrayal of Steel is really odd. There's a lot of homages to the reign of Superman, but Steel's the one that sticks out the most. Here, he's actually an Elseworld character where on his Earth, Superman went bad and had a child with Lois Lane. I remember thinking this was always going to be an Elseworld, and later on we'll see the main world Steel. But nope, this is basically our Steel. It just all feels a little weird. I will say, while contrasting Season 1 and 2, while Season 1 is a little more solid-ish, I really dig a lot of Season 2's ambition with the likes of a Bizarroverse. That side's interesting to explore, and how topsy-turvy everything ultimately is. The idea of the bizarro versions of people attempting to merge with the mainline's counterpart is all trippy stuff. Also, it's kind of funny to think the main villain is basically Parasite. They keep referring to her as Parasite. Not much relation to the character, other than she saps people's powers. But it's a fusion of two counterpart women to make the ultimate fuse Saiyan. Feels like a dark spin with what they were attempting with Loki. Also, while Superman Lois is a TV show, not exactly the one with one of the best effects. To be honest, some of the sheer ambition with some of this action is just, it's pretty damn awe. Superman going for the sun, maxing out his absorption, flying around so fast he ends up trying to demerge the two planets. It's wild conceptual stuff that I like exploring Superman, or than just super piaui action. Overall, I like Superman Lois. Interesting exploration of a character and liked enthusiasm with such.